So let's see. I guess last week, Rishikesh, you were not there, and I guess none of you were there. Yeah, last week
Yes, yes.
there was a
I was
completely different
not.
audience. We did talk about briefly about Excel layouts in that meeting, and the plan was to kind of build something around it in this meeting. So what we'll do is we'll give it a try, and let's see how it goes. Okay. Do you guys, Vishal and Omar, have and Rishikesh have done anything around Excel layout in the past and have basic understanding of it or not?
Yes,
Basic
I
understanding I do have, but never explored more about it. Basic understanding from whatever is written on Microsoft Learn that I have experimented and built reports, but I've never explored more.
Okay, Omar, you were saying something.
I also attended your discussion session last week, or
Okay,
so I know something about it.
okay, nice. And Vishal, you have a basic
Uh,
idea of what it does and all.
as a basic idea I have, but the thing is now actually the main thing is the practice and the project on which currently now we are working now. The more work in 2017. That is the only issue. But I have basic knowledge,
Okay.
so I
That's
will
fine.
get it.
Yeah, so we did talk about just a quick recap of how you build an Excel layout from the code while building a report. Um, you can also specify if you have multiple data item. You use this property which is Excel layout multiple data sheet. So as you can see on your screen, what will happen is when I build this report, I'll get data into two different sheets, one for customer and one for vendor. So it only creates separate data sheet for items at indent zero. Like inside customer, you also we added in the last week customer ledger entry, but that will not be created as a separate uh, sheet. It'll just be part of the customer sheet. So anything at the indent zero will be created as a separate data sheet if you use this property. Now I should talk about it if you don't know about it. That when you create a snippet, because that's how I remember it. Um, I don't exactly remember the version, but sometime in the past, when these multiple layouts became a thing, Microsoft added this new section called rendering, right? So in the rendering section, you can actually have multiple layouts specified. uh, in that scenario you have to use a new property which is default rendering layout if you have multiple layouts in the rendering section, to say which will be the default for this particular report as a developer. So just to kind of explain it, I'll just cut it from here and put it into our report, and in here I'll use the section, right? Now I have this Excel layout. As soon as you define your rendering section, you cannot use these properties here. So my layout file name, I'll copy it from here and put it in here. I'll remove this, and then I also need to remove the default layout. I, why there is this? Oh yeah, I have to specify what is my default rendering layout. Like in this case, I only have one, which is layout name. I can change it, say Excel layout, and then if I have another layouts, I can keep on adding things here. Let's say RDLC layout, and you can name it anything. Right? I'm just kind of trying to keep it simple, and then you have to define the RDLC file and things like that. Now what happens with this? That now your report support two or multiple layout. You can have 10 different layouts if needed, but the layout that is defined here will be used as the default layout when the user runs it. User can surely change it when they are running it, but they by default will get the first layout. Okay. Now, why I'm talking about it? Because there is a slight change that has been introduced in the latest version of Business Center. The property that is Excel layout multiple sheet. Now think about a situation where you're trying to extend a base Microsoft or an ISV report which is not part of your extension, because your customer says I need an additional layout into this report. Now in that scenario, if you need to have Excel data layout sheet true, which the original uh, developer or the original owner of the app have not decided that for this report they'll generate the Excel multiple data sheet, Microsoft have allowed you to use this property into the layout sections also. So now from the latest version, I guess 26 and higher, you will be able to uh, change how your Excel file or Excel layout is generated on and report extension also. So if the developer who built that report and that is not in your extension have not decided to enable the Excel layout multiple data sheet, it's okay. You can still configure it on the layout section. Does that make sense? Any confusion on that?
No, sir, it's fine.
Right? So remember this. If you are dealing with a standard Microsoft report or an ISV report which you have not built, and there is a requirement that you need multiple data sheets based on the data item that that report have, using report extension, when you add a new layout, you can always add the data layout multiple sheet option here. Now in the previous meeting we did see how this Excel data multiple layout kind of works. So let me open this here. So this is the file that is generated, and then you get a customer sheet which have the customer ledger entry, which is the child, and the customer fields, as well as a separate tab for the vendor, because that is at an indentation level of 0. So this is where we left last time. Now either you do it from GUI or as a developer. This is how you do it. But now let's think about how you would like to customize a report that is not built by you with an Excel layout. Let me see if I find something here. I guess I have read somewhere that there is a report called inventory order detail. This report. Yeah. Is there a layout associated with it? No, there is only this layout, which is an RDLC default layout. So if I run this report, what happens is I get a list of my items and things like that, shipment date, quantity, outstanding quantity, and all. And then these are different sections or document numbers that has been processed against those particular items that you have selected, if you have selected. Now let's think about that. We want this to be converted to an Excel layout, right? So from a user standpoint, what you will do is user will search for that report, and I still feel that users know better than us of what they want in Excel. They have more knowledge than us, at least than me, from an Excel user perspective. So what they'll do, they'll go into send to, and they'll say Microsoft Excel data only. So they should not choose data and layout, because that's a completely different option. They need to use the data only option, which will then download the same report into an Excel file on their PC, which they'll get the data set. Now remember, the data sheet is what brings your data set of your report in here, and this is similar as it is in NAV versions 2016, 2015, or even 2013 and higher. From the time RDLC was introduced, this option of downloading the dataset was always there to download into Microsoft Excel. There has been new changes that had come with the Excel layout. So now if I enable editing here, I should see that there are some, oh, there is only one sheet, which is the aggregate metadata. Now, people who have worked on NAV know that some of these information is very common that is required by user. Oh, what is the report number? What is the report name? Who's the user who is running it, right? So there will be a user detail, at what time it ran, date, and then date and time, if there is an offset language. So it contain all the detail, including the filters that has been applied on the report, not on the report request page, but it seems that the filters that are applied on the report itself. Let's quickly check that. Inventory order detail, what report is that? Oh, I'm checking here. Inventory order detail. Okay. Okay, so let's try to see where we find these filters. Sales line document type 1. Okay, so it has this data item and then this has this data item, where there is document type order, type as item, and outstanding quantity as filter 0. So document type order, type item, outstanding quantity not 0, and the number, which is the item number, hopefully WRB 1007. Now where is that filter? I don't think I applied a filter, but yeah, I didn't apply any filter when I ran this, I guess. Maybe I did, or it was applied by default. Let's quickly check, because we see you see all the filters here, that these filters are also visible on your dataset aggregate metadata section, that it shows it. And because there will be a table relation to the item table here, and because there is only one item which is meeting the criteria to run this report, which is why this is the only item. Let's see. Okay, I don't see any code here. Item, it should get all the items. There's no filters associated to it. And then print only if detail. Okay, so if there are any sales line associated with the order with the same item, same variant, same location, dimension code if applied there, only those items are populated here, and I guess that's why there is only one item that's populating. If user would have applied a filter, you will see it in the same aggregate metadata sheet here. This is about your tenant, and this is about your extension details and all. Okay, now this is not what we are here for, so let's hide this again. This we'll see if time permits. I haven't tried it, but it's a pretty interesting features around caption and translation data. But here we reached out on what the data look like. Now you need to pay attention that when Microsoft downloads these Excel, now they automatically format the data as a table. Now this is formatted as a table, which happens by using this button when you choose this. But it also, what it does, it creates a named name tag for that table. So when you drill down here, you'll notice that there is a data tab, data table, which represent all your data. So anything that you want to do on this data, you can just refer this whole data set by using the keyword data into it. So all this data is referred by this. In the same way, there is a caption data which refers all this, and then there is this report filter value and all those things which are hidden. That all is available as a table. So because these are formatted as table, they make it simpler for users and for us to kind of do design changes onto it. Let's take a simple example. if I want to create a pivot into this, right, I'll select all. Rather than selecting all, I'll just select here and say data. That selects everything. And then if I say I need a pivot table on it, I can just do this. It'll automatically choose the selected range, which is the data name, and then I can create it into a new worksheet. Now this I would call, let's say, my layout. And here I can do the basic stuff that is there, right? So I can put the number on the rows, okay, and then I can put what's here. Is there something quantity? Quantity. Okay, somebody's joining. Govind is trying to join and then not able to join, I guess, for some reason. But okay, let's say quantity only on sales line. Let's do that. Okay, so I have the sum of the quantity here. Okay, so let's see the quantity on sales line, why there is one dot. Okay, I have outstanding amount. Oh, this is amount. And then I also have quantity. So for some reason Microsoft is sending it as one dot. I'll have to see that, but okay. So now this pivot table is here. Now I might want to create other pivot tables based on the same data. So I can again choose the same data and say insert pivot table on existing worksheet this time. And let's say I'll put it here because this can grow as time goes by. Here, okay, and there should be item description. Anything else that we would like to see? Let's see here. Item description, company name, customer. Oh, there's a customer name, and then there is amount. We saw amount somewhere. Oh, outstanding amount. Okay, so we can use the customer name and outstanding amount. So let's choose that. That's bad. And this is based on how you name your things in your layout when you name different columns. So choose name wisely so that it's easier for user to kind of choose that. I think Microsoft can also do a good work there. Okay, and then we had some amount somewhere here. Outstanding amount sales line. Let's pick this. And let's get that as sum. Okay, so we have these. Now you might be interested in maybe creating a graph out of it, right? So now we select this pivot table, and when you come here you also get an option to pivot chart, right? So now you can just as much as you know business Microsoft Excel, you will do that good into it, which I'm not an expert in. I've very clearly clarified that. Hopefully I'll put that chart. Okay. Now this is my chart of my outstanding amount sales line, and then let's create a chart on here also. Any chart, right? Yeah, let's keep it simple. Yeah, this looks nice. Okay, so I have this chart. Control Z, and let's put it here. Now you might want user to have an ability to filter the report. Now I don't know you guys know it or not, but I've used Excel for a while, so I can put slicers. Now slicers are your what do you call that, filter pane in Excel. So you can create slicer on a field. So I can say, oh, I would like to have a slicer on number, and then also onto this, what is this, cell build to name, whatever that field was. Where is that field? Here, or any other field if you need, right? So when you do that, you get two slicers. Now slicers are just like filters, so you can place them anywhere on your report, and associated to that particular data that you have, it'll automatically apply to it. So if I say I just want to see VRB100, I can just click on it, and wherever it refers, it automatically said that if you're choosing this, then the only customer that is dealing with this is this. But surprisingly, it did not apply that filter here because I guess I chose this. So you need to choose where you are applying your slicer, and then that way it'll work. So let's remove this slicer if needed. Remove number filter. Okay, so this is applied on this, and on this one I can also put a slicer. Sorry. And this time I'll filter on item number. If if your users are comfortable with the description, just put description there, and as soon as you apply on it, it automatically filters out your report. Okay, why it's not changing? It's changing. Okay, yeah, it's changing. It's just not updating in the flash, I guess. So these are my filters. Any other thoughts? Any other expertise into Excel? Guys, go ahead, tell me. Nothing? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save this. Save as, and I'll put it somewhere, and I'll say it's in my download, and I'll say this is Saurav. So what I've done is we have taken the data that is available from Business Central by using export to Excel as data only, and that generated this data. And based on that data, based on how much knowledge you have, and you can surely have more knowledge than me on Excel, you can define how you would like your report to be seen. Now if you're like, oh, my user only would like to see the graphs, just hide these sections. They'll be here for processing, you don't have to see them, you can just hide these columns. And then from the data also, you can directly create a graph. You are not forced to create a pivot table. I think that is already an option. So let's see, if I choose data again and then do a pivot, there should be a, yeah, so here is a recommended chart, right? It says sum of outstanding amount, sales line by shipment date, and things like that. So these are the recommended charts, but you're not forced to use them. If you would like to create, you can create your charts directly. System does create a pivot table, but that's behind the scene. It'll just be there. So you can use all your Excel knowledge to build your Excel layout that you have, and we saved it as inventory order detail Saurav. Now what's the next step? I'll save this. Done that. Go back to my Business Central. Go to my report layout page. Now if you are working on prior version, I have used custom report layout or report layout selection, all those pages, stop using them. I don't know when is the sunset for those functionality, but sooner than later that will come, because this is your single point for everything about your reports and layouts. You can set default here, you can do other things from here directly without going into details of how different pages were used in the past. So now we need to know the report number where you would like to update that layout. My report number is 708. So let's come back here, filter by report ID just to see how many layouts are there. There's only one. Hit into new, that allows you to add a new layout, 708, and we say demo description. This demo was created during, okay, choose the option that you're going to upload. RDLC, Word, Excel, and external. I still have to explore external. And then where you want it to be available, just on the current company or for all the companies. Then do you want to start from scratch where Microsoft gives you a empty template and you want to kind of set that up? And as we talked about in the beginning, that now you have this option of create multiple data sheet available for the developers as well as for the users to choose from here. So if a user is also creating a report layout, they can choose that option by starting from here rather than starting from the report. So if a user tells you that, yeah, I would like to do something, I don't want you as a developer to do something for me. Once it is done, I'll give it to you and then you make it part of extension so that it's not a file that I'm storing on my system. It's actually is a part of my extension. So tell them the way we did it, they should not do it if they want multiple layouts. They should come here, they should click on this, they should say if they need multiple sheet and click OK. In that case, a blank Excel file will be generated for them with multiple data sheet. From the report request page, it'll be as whatever the setting the original report developer have decided. Is that clear, or is there any confusion on this?
Clear for me.
Okay, thanks. So if you have this option disabled and you click OK, it'll ask you to drag a file here or upload a file here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that file here, and as I do that, it is getting uploaded here. So there is a layout attached, and then you also see when it was last modified, who modified it and all. The default is still Excel layout, the RDLC layout, but when a user runs it, they have an option to choose the layout from here. So they can choose it, or if a user wants to make this as a default, that also happens from this page. They come here and they mark this as default somewhere here, set as default. Now this option sets the layout as default, whatever has been chosen for that. And let's run it and let's see what is generated when we choose the RDLC layout from here. Okay, so I don't remember the filter, so let me run it as it is and then we'll try applying the filter. So when you do that, there's a new file that gets downloaded, and in this case this would have taken in consideration of whatever we have done, which is the whole new tab of my layout, and also have the filter capabilities here. So at this point, if I only want to see Ethan's desk quantity sum, I can just see that. If you want to remove the filter, you can just apply this, it will show you everything. Same goes here, you can choose one or multiple values based on analysis that your user want to do, and same for here. So just to kind of make it interesting, let's only pick 1896S and let's choose WRB. Yeah, let's choose WRB when we run this report. Inventory order detail, and then here let me choose WRB 1000. I guess that was it. Let me see. WRB 1000 and WRB 1001. Okay, doesn't like that. Hopefully that should work. Okay. Oh, I don't have the Excel chosen, so let me choose Excel, apply the filter that you need, and hopefully when you download it, it should now only bring 2 items into consideration. Now this is the old one, let the new one get loaded, and it only took one for some weird reason. Okay, how the data look like, let me see. Yeah, so the data is only for 2 items, but for some reason the history of it remembers all this, which is odd. It should not. Oh, yeah, because I did not start with an empty layout. So whatever I started with, it remembers all that, and it is not removing those options because at the design time I did not use an empty layout. Does that make sense or is it confusing? If it is, I can just clarify that. Let's see. As I was saying, that user should come here and say, choose the detail here. Okay. Then start with the blank layout. Now this time when we do this, and I'll keep it default, we'll get an empty layout without data. Now at that moment, whatever filters and things that you will set, they will be remembered as it is, as empty. So let me do an export layout, which does this. Not this one. Let it load. Okay, so this brings this. Again the same data tab, but this time there is no data. Okay. So I'll choose the data from here. Because there is nothing at this moment, I only have the data set field captions or names that you have defined in your report. I can still do the same thing. Let's just quickly do that. New worksheet, and what we were doing, let me see quickly. Where is the unhide? Oh man, bad at Excel. Unhide. Okay. So here was number item and the sum of quantity sales line. So let's create that. Number item and sum of quantity sales line. So I can do a quantity sales line. Okay. Done that. Okay, let's create another out of it. Pivot table. This time existing worksheet, and let's put it here. This was done on two other fields or tables. One is sales header bill to name. So let's do bill to name. And then the other thing was outstanding amount sales line. Outstanding amount sales line. Then for our simplification, we added some filters. So here we said sales header bill to name. Where is that? Sales header bill to name. One slicer for this, which is in filter pane. Now remember, this time it's empty. Okay. And then this, we also added a slicer here saying item description. Okay. Now we also created some graphs out of it. So let's quickly do that. Let's create a, where is that pivot chart? Okay. And I don't remember the graph, but I guess for the items we were using the stacked one. So let me do that. Here is the item filter or item graph. And then on this one, we also had a graph chart, which was a pie chart. Okay, let's keep this. Now when you start with blank, there is nothing in the memory of your Excel file that you're creating, and that's the reason it does not remember anything. So when you apply a filter on your report, it doesn't matter to it. It just says okay, sounds good. So I've saved this Saurav demo 2, and now what I need to do is I need to go into my, let me close all these and save, don't save, and I have to update this layout. So there's no import, there is a replace layout. Okay, and then I'm just importing my demo 2 that we just created here. So now I have the demo 2 in my business central environment. So now when I run this report, now I get 3 options for the layout, and I can pick and choose whatever I need. So I say demo 2. And we also try the same filter if we need, which is the first. Let's run it with the whole without any filters. When I download it, it just looks as it was looking earlier, and we see that as soon as we enable editing, the filters and the graphs kind of automatically updates itself, and then you see all the filters that you can apply to it, right? So you can just apply the filters on the data that you have and just react to your data, which all is happening based on this data sheet. Now if you apply the filter, as we were saying, let's pick this and the other one, 1001. Just pay attention to this slicer, how it changes, because we started with blank. So inventory order details. Okay, let's choose the demo 2. Let's apply the filter, and this time let's do download. When you open this, on the item side you should only see 2 items on the filter and then the respective customers which are there. The only difference was that we started from the report. So always either you build it or your customer builds it. Make sure to start from the report request page rather than starting from the report itself, because whatever you will build, it will rely itself on the available data at that moment and remember those values. So don't just say to your customer, which I have heard so many times, that oh, this works like this always, which is not true. Okay, there are other things that you can do in a better way that'll help them to kind of see what they expect out of it. Now once this is finalized, and if your customer wants it as a part of an extension, you can just create a report extension, and let's complete that exercise. So I have this demo 2 with me, and what I can do now is, so somebody came to me and said, okay, I built a great layout and I've got approval from my IT or from my team, and they would like to keep it in the system as part of your extension. So then you can come here and say, okay, I would like to create a report extension. Okay, and this report extension is on inventory. What was that report? Now I forgot. And so much loud here because of the thunderstorms, so if you are hearing it, sorry for that. That's how the weather is right now. Okay, so I created a report extension. I don't need anything on this report. What I need is, I need a does this report has a rendering section? Because I haven't tried it. That will be interesting to see. This report does not have a rendering section. Nice. What if I add a rendering section here? Okay, and then I just add one layout into it, and this time I call it as extension layout Excel. This is of type Excel, and I need to place my file somewhere. So what I'll do is I'll copy this file which we created, and I'll place it inside this folder. I place it, you'll see it here. Here it is, and now I can just reference its name into my rendering section file. So now what I can do is I can say, okay, this is what I've received from customer, and I'm saying that the layout that customer has given me is here, and this is how it looks like. Now, as people who joined late, we did talk about that if your user wanted to have multiple sheets, which they can do from there, but if you are trying to extend it, now in the latest versions of Business Central, you can extend this, you can add this property into your layout saying that the Excel layout multiple data sheet is enabled, which is allows you to give multiple sheets for that layout. Okay, hopefully my environment is not up to date on this, but let's give it a try. Okay, let's pointing to the right. Sandbox BC26 demo. Yes. Okay, let's publish this. Now what will happen, there will be an additional layout in the report layout page as this extension gets deployed, and that will allow users to kind of have that file available in the system. So okay, let's wait for it. But if there are any questions in the meantime while this is getting published, I'll be happy to answer those. So I always prefer to have report layouts, even user creates it, as in once they have finalized it, to make it as a part of an extension, so that users or other users cannot kind of just replace the layout or delete the layout or things like that, right? Because let me see if I can just go ahead and delete it. Yes, I can. But can I delete one that comes from extension? I'll have to see once that gets published. So let's wait for that to be published. I guess it tells me that I can even delete this. Okay. Let's see what happens. Only user defined layout can be modified or removed. So that's the benefit of publishing it from your VS Code, that if you publish it from your VS Code, what you see on the report layout page for that particular report, let's quickly have a look. 708. You will notice that now there is an extension layout Excel, which is the name that I have given to my layout, this one. And then this also works in the same way as a standard, that users will not be able to go ahead and delete it. But if user wants, they can easily go ahead. Oh, let me refresh this. But they can easily go ahead and delete this if needed. So to keep their layout safe that they have built, you should always, once they have finalized their design, you can always set that and into your extension to, you know, kind of have it available and be safe then by any mistake somebody deleting it. Now the layout is same, everything is same that we have created manually, but now it is coming from a part of an extension, and no user will be able to kind of delete that layout or edit that layout or change that layout, because it is coming from an extension. Somebody asked me a question. I guess there is a page. Let me see. Report. What is that? Report settings, I guess. Let me see. Yes. I guess in this particular page, you can define. Can you add one? I'll have to check. 708. Let me see. Oh, sorry. Saurav. 708. Can I edit the last filters? I'm not able to save the views, which is odd, because I thought that they have an option to choose the layout selection here, but that doesn't seem an option. That's interesting. Yeah, because, and sorry, forget to ask, tell you the question. The question was, can I make a layout default for a specific user? That whenever I run it, I want this layout to be automatically selected, because it's the same data set, and right now what you see on your screen, there are 4 layouts associated to it. So if Tanya wants something else, whereas Rishikesh wants something else, or Govind wants something else, or Supriya wants something else, can they do that? And I guess that's where I'm a little bit confused. As the last layout saved property, let me see if that works. So if I don't see that property popping up. but there is this thing where you save the last view, right? Nope, I don't see that. Or that doesn't work with the Excel layout. I'll have to think about it. Because you can surely do it from the code, but I would rather not do it. But you can actually, because now from I guess version 26, each layout gets a unique GUID associated to it. So every layout can be uniquely tracked based on the GUID of that layout. So when you come here, there is this system ID associated to it. I guess that's what it is. Let me see. Application ID. I guess this is the ID that they were referring to. Now this is unique for each layout, so you can actually code it in this way if needed. That this is my layout ID, but it doesn't seem to be done from the setup somewhere that you can say that this is what you can do other than that. Okay, what else you can do about it on the layout? There's a lot of reading that's available. I'll just pin that here in the chat if needed. That you also have an option to do translation, which I don't think we'll have time to kind of talk about it. But what actually happens on the translation, let me see if they have an image somewhere. No, they don't. I guess that they should have an image somewhere about it. So you can actually use a keyword which is dollar. Now with the dollar, what happens is, yes, here it is. Okay, so this is not a new feature now. I guess this was last year when they introduced Excel layouts. But because you might be shipping your report to multiple countries or regions, and based on that scenario, you might want to have different captions or names available on your report. So this feature of translation works on sheet names, headers, pivot tables, slicers, and shared string, everything. You just need to make sure that you use your text with this. Okay, so let me see if it is visible clearly, otherwise I'll find a better image somewhere. I guess there is one on GitHub from Microsoft. But what you can do is you can append this dollar sign, place your text between the dollar signs, and wherever you do that, based on the user language that is selected in Business Central and the translation text available in the translation sheet, all these captions will change automatically based on the language that they have selected. Does that make sense, or it's confusing?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so what you have to do is here, let me see. Oh, why I'm doing this, I should do it on extension. Okay, demo 2. So like if I'm building something for different regions, what I can do here is on the sheet or in the translation data, I guess, if the language is, and I need to know the language, that's interesting. So if you go into your Business Central, and that's defined based on your settings here. So if I go to my settings, and then each language have a code, right? Is there a code available here somewhere? Yeah, so language code, I guess, here. So if the language is EN/US, okay, let's try that. And if the caption is report name, I want the value as US report. The same thing, but if in this case, if the language is, let me keep it the way that I'll be able to search it. If the language is, where is India? There's no English India, which is weird. There should be.
Yes, it should be.
It's not there. Okay. This is the Windows language based on, I guess, based on the environment that you create, it varies. So if I do a English UK, US, or sorry, UK, right, which is ENGB, I want it to be called as something else. I want it called as UK report. Now, wherever I use this word, let's see here, and I call it as this, and then in this I'll say dollar and dollar here. So based on the translation sheet, it'll automatically understand that there should be a translation available for this, and then it should pick the appropriate data based on the user language that is selected on his environment. Okay, this works here, this works here also, this works here also, so it majorly works in everything, right? So let's save this. Let's publish our extension because I did change on the extension thing. Okay, and let's see how it behaves. And then for the time being, I'll change my language to something, to UK, to see what happens. So when you are delivering multi-region language users or customers who have people in different parts of the world, you can surely use the translation feature so that it gets translated based on the user language which has been selected. So it makes it simpler for them, it makes it easier for you to code, and then ask them to fill in the translation if you don't know it, right? So first let's head up to my settings and I'll change my language to UK. Okay, and then we'll try to run the same report, which is my report called 708 inventory order details. Now you cannot do translation on data because that's what's stored in your database will populate, but you can surely do translation on text, labels and other things that you have which you would like to translate when needed. So now if you look at it, it just says UK report. The reason being because the user language is associated with the with the translation that's available, and it's as UK report, right? If I would have changed my language to US, it will say US report directly without doing any changes. Now this is not a real world example. In a real world scenario, you will have different text, how you want to caption certain things, that varies based on different regions that you are coming from. So it makes it easier and it looks more localized when user of that region sees it. So if you ever come across to a requirement where they want a multi-regional captions and all, because everybody understand, I guess till now in Business Central, there's no automatic translation of your data. I don't know, maybe sometime in future that happens with the AI and all, but at this moment it's the data, the way it's stored, it'll just be visible like this. But now if you look at it, now it says US report based on the translation that you have associated with this column. You can do the same thing at the sheet name level. You can do the same thing at these pivot tables, on these slicer captions, I guess. So you have a little bit more flexibility to make the captions of your report, Excel layout report, on a regional language basis rather than just being English available. So this seems pretty interesting and pretty useful for the people who have customers across the world and who would like to see things around it. Now, other than this, when you read around it, majority of the things are around your knowledge of Excel. You know, I have read some article. If you guys need, I'll put it into the chat later on, where people have done pretty good job with the Excel layouts because they know Excel far, at least far better than me, and that's where the whole power of the Excel layout comes into the picture. If you don't know much Excel, I would still rely on end user to kind of build the design that they need, so that you can then kind of use their hand and co-build that layout rather than building it all by yourself. So there's a lot that you can do with this. It's just on how much Excel you know. There are VLOOKUPs, XLOOKUP, and Microsoft names it very clearly. You know, instead of having a complicated VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP, you use things like this and all. So there are things that you can do in your layout just by knowing Excel without knowing Business Central if needed. Right? Microsoft makes sure that they format the fields in the right way, the way they are supposed to be or defined in Navigator, or sorry, Business Central, right? So anything which is a numeric will always come as format as number in the data, and anything that is code or text will format as text in Excel. So when you look at this column, this is always formatted as number, whereas the description will be formatted as journal or text. Same goes with number. So anything which is in numeric in Navigator will automatically translate or will be defined as number. The difference of this property comes in when you try to add things or do calculation on these fields. So Microsoft understands it and do that conversion for you automatically when you download that into Excel. If you ask me, it completely will replace your whole export to Excel feature. That's how I look at it. There might be certain limitations, but again, if you know Excel better, you can still achieve the same result what we do today, or most of us do today, with what is that, Excel buffer table. You can completely replace that with an actual layout in Excel, and then give them more power to the same data, which you would have taken a lot of time to build it, than by doing with the Excel layouts that are available. Okay, any questions? I guess that's what we wanted to close today with the Excel layout, so that we talk about something else next week.
Thank you, sir. It was a great session.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, if it helps, that's
yeah.
the whole idea of this.
Yes, The new sir. thing I Thanks a learned lot. is that, yes, please.
Sorry, Govind, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was just saying that the new thing I learned today is that translation in the Excel file, or in the Excel file.
Oh, okay. Sounds good, man.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah,
Okay,
that's it. Thank you very much.
yeah. So, what topics
Yeah,
we
so
go ahead discuss?
yeah, thanks a lot, Saurav. So yeah, I was about to ask what topic we are going to cover next session.
Okay, so people who are new here, we a few weeks ago we did made a list of things that we want to talk about. The things from the reporting side were word layouts, which we covered earlier. Then we had Excel layout, which we have covered in the last two sessions. The other topics that we have, and I'll leave it to you guys at this moment, is AI, which is GitHub Copilot AI. Somebody suggested it, and then the VS Code agents. So in the Visual Studio Code, you have AI agents which can do certain things with you. I'm actually running not a person project, but a personal trial on the Copilot agents inside VS Code, because we as MVP get a limited set of tokens to be used in that.
Saurav, we lost
Yeah,
your voice.
can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's not.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
what I was saying is I'm currently running a project. When I learned it from you guys that there is a VS Code agent inside VS Code, there is an agent. So I'm utilizing it to run it, and I'm finding it pretty interesting how it is doing things. So that's the other thing that we can talk about. Then somebody suggested to have admin center API or automation API that are available in Business Center Cloud. And then somebody said webhooks, which I have no knowledge, but I can go through it if needed. So if I'll ask, I guess there will be different questions. So you can just put your thoughts out of these topics, or if you have any other topic, I can just add them to the list that we need to talk about in future. Okay.
Saurav,
Go ahead.
yeah, I would like you to please add the Power Platform integration and Power BI also.
I have added that. Basically, the problem is that I don't have a subscription associated with it, so that's where I guess
Acha.
I'm a little bit hesitant around it.
Okay,
If
okay, okay,
somebody can give me a CDX, because we are not yet Microsoft partners, so I don't have a CDX environment.
okay.
So if somebody can create a CDX
Mm-hmm,
and give it to me, where you get a 90 days trial of it, I'll be happy to demo
mm-hmm.
the Power Platform thing into it. That's not a problem, or Power BI stuff if needed.
Okay, I will check with my employer if they do have.
Yeah, so normally partners have access to CDX once you are a Microsoft
Mm-hmm.
partner, where you can create 90 days or 30 days sandboxes which are disposable. So then you can delete them after you have done whatever you want to do. So yeah, if somebody have
Mm-hmm.
it and don't mind to share it, just reach out to me in the chat, and we can surely set it up and talk about it if needed.
Okay, okay. Thanks, Saurav. Thank you.
But yeah, others, if you have any thoughts of anything that you haven't heard in this list and I need to add it, I'll be happy to do that. I don't like to do roll calls, but if you want, Govind, you have any thoughts on future topics? And Govind is
Not
Sorry,
right now.
sorry, me.
yeah.
Currently not, but if I have, I will write to you. Okay.
Okay, sounds fair, man. Omar, you have something?
Not yet. As I said,
Oh, you were saying it. Okay, sorry. I thought Govind
yeah.
was saying it. Thanks. Govind, you were saying something? Because you unmuted, I guess, for a while.
No, no, I'm okay with what everyone like because
Okay,
everything is new and I think learning everything is good.
sounds good. Tanya, you have something?
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
I had one topic to cover was Power Automate.
Power
Just thinking.
Automate. Yeah, that sounds interesting. But again, the thing with the Power Automate also is that I need someone to. Your voice is breaking. Can't hear you.
Mine?
Yeah, now it's clear.
Okay.
So for Power Automate, the same situation as I'm explaining, Rishikesh. I'll need someone to create a CDX environment for me and share it with me with the credentials so that I can then demo it, because I don't have an environment right now. And in CDX you get, I guess, 90 days or 30 days disposable environment that as a partner you can create, and every user at the partner end gets the CDX environment. So if anyone have that CDX environment and ready to share it with me, I'm happy to do that.
I can also do that.
Yeah, so yeah, let's connect and let's see if that becomes a thing. We can surely talk about it. I've done a little bit of Power Automate in the past. We can surely see
Okay.
what's that is.
Yeah.
Okay, so Priya, you have something to add to the list? I see you got unmute and then muted again. But yeah, if you have something, just let me know into the chat. I'll be happy to kind of add that to the list. Vishal, you have something?
Yeah, hi sir. We can add one more topic, Power Apps.
Power apps. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Power apps. Okay. For Power Apps, the requirement that I shared with Tanya and basically is remain same. Additionally, for
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Power Apps, I'll need a kind of an idea of what you're thinking about it, right? Because when you think about Power Apps, yes, surely there is an screen that you need, there is some data from Business Central that you need there. You need to have a capability of see the data and the post the data to from Power Automate to Business Central, right? So yeah, if I get that option, we'll surely utilize that. I have added that to the list for the future. Let's see.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Vishok, if I'm spelling your name correctly, that's how it's written in the chat. Okay, as I don't think Vishok is online right now or unable to unmute himself. But okay, I guess we covered.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you, Vishok.
Sir, I am new to business and then I just learning, watching your videos. So whatever topics you go through, it's helpful for me to grow in my career.
Shaman, if you have something specific, do let us know, and we'll be happy
Oh,
to
okay,
talk
sir.
about it. This meeting is always majorly based on what you guys want, rather than what I would like to share, right? So if something pops up in your mind, just let me know via
Oh,
Teams.
oh, okay, sir.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
so that's majorly all for today. But is there anything that we can change in the community that'll help, or do we need to do something else into the community? It's growing pretty rapidly, I guess. I didn't expect this kind of growth of number of people that are joining. But anything else that
Mm,
will kind of help you guys, or that we can add? I guess right now we are sitting at somewhere, I don't know, it doesn't refresh right now. We are sitting at somewhere at 300 plus people. Oh, yeah, 309. Uh, for me, quizzes looks good. People are still attentive, responding to all the questions that they are. If they are simple, do let me know. I can go complex any moment when you guys want it. It's going pretty well if I look it from my prism. But if you have different thoughts, just let me know. We can surely do things differently, right? Or any other thing that we can do into the community, let me know. I'll be happy to kind of start that gig if needed.
Saurav, are you able to record the sessions now?
I guess yes. Last time we had the recording available on YouTube. I'll see how it comes today. If it will be good,
Okay.
I'll be happy
Okay.
to post it. Not a problem.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Fine. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll let you guys enjoy the rain if it is raining at your place, and then enjoy the weekend, and then I'll see you sooner than later next week.
Sure. Sure, Will. Thanks a lot.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Thanks all.
Okay, thank you all. If you are still here and if you have made it till this point, um, I'm not sure it's being recorded. Yeah, but yeah. So if you have any suggestions of what you would like to see into the future BC Open discussion, let me know into the comment section, and then let me know one thing that you learned out of this video. I'll be happy to kind of talk more about it if needed. If you have any additional questions or thoughts that I missed into this session, let me know into the comment section. And we are hosting these sessions on the Teams community. So if you haven't joined it, the link is in the pinned comment as well as into the description of this video. I'll see you there. And yeah, stay connected and then see you soon. Thank you and have a nice day.